My name is Wendy Johnson. I've been practicing Zen Buddhism since 1971. I am a very old lady, very old woman. I'm trained in double traditions and have received lay Dharma transmission and recognition, transmission of the lamp from Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh in the Order of Inner Being, and also from San Francisco Zen Center, where I've lived and trained in person in residency for 25 years. I'm deeply, wildly, continuously married to farmer and Dharma activist Peter Rudnick. We've been married for 48 years. We met at Zen Center, at Tassajara Zen Mountain Center, and then were invited to come to Green Gulch Farm Zen Center, where we helped, along with many others, to establish the original organic farms of the San Francisco Zen Center. I'm a grower. I do not think of myself as a master gardener. Sorry, folks. I'm a Dharma farmer. I'm also privileged to say that I'm the author of Gardening at the Dragon's Gate, At Work in the Wild and Cultivated World, published by Bantam Books in 2008. I am the eldest of three sisters. We are as intertwined as corned beans and squash. I have two children, and they have me. And I have a succulent 18-month-old grandson who's very much in my life. Before we chant, I'd like to acknowledge Roshi Joan Halifax. And I will begin the Dharma talk by a little bit more intimacy. I would not be standing here with you were it not for Roshi Joan Halifax, who is one of my closest and deepest Dharma friends, colleagues, mentors, and wild woman. So with that, I receive the seat and we'll chant to open the Dharma. The Dharma is vast and subtle. We now have a chance to hear it, study it, and practice it. We vow to realize its true meaning. The Dharma is vast and subtle. We now have a chance to hear it, study it, and practice it. We vow to realize its true meaning. The Dharma is vast and subtle. We now have a chance to hear it, study it, and practice it. We vow to realize its true meaning. Bonnie, can you help me just bring this forward a bit? Yeah, closer. Ooh. Tala. Thank you. Okay. I don't think so. Good evening. Oop. I thought of bringing my Felco clippers tonight so I could cut through and get to the point, but instead, the true helper, a pen, a living pen. I want to begin by acknowledging the deep privilege of being present tonight on the traditional, ancestral, continuous lands of the Tewa people. Ongoing culture and magnificence in this landscape that has been unfolding in the ancestral Puebloan culture since the beginning of the Common Era, and continuing, deepening. It is with humility and genuine quietness that I recognize I'm a guest in this homeland. And I need to put on my glasses. Tonight really represents the opening of planting life and growing community, the first talk of this series. We've been offering this teaching opportunity since 2011. That's a beautiful long time of entrustment. And it never would have happened without Roshi Joan's invitation. And she was trepidatious. It's going to be messy. There'll be squash all the way to the window, and everything she thought is and was true. And yet, together we have planted life and celebrated ancestral culture. And I sit tonight as a practitioner who's deeply grateful to be wearing this rock kazoo, which is a direct and intimate expression of trust between Roshi Joan and me and this community of active Dharma practice. So this is a very meaningful rock kazoo, and my name is Ryomon Ante, which means Dragon Gate, Peaceful Garden. So, gratitude and thank you. And thank you for the gift and the opportunity of practicing together, cloud and water wanderers, willing to live and die together in these troubled times. We're gathered tonight at the anniversary of Memorial Day, where we remember the dead. The dead are always with us, and they are with us tonight. Our teachers, our benefactors, our friends, and those who've served and known military service. And we sit tonight with a war raging in the land of our world because of the way we live. And we sit to face this and to walk and engage in the journey that reconnects us to what it means to be a human being in these times. So I offer gratitude tonight on the occasion of Memorial Day to Joanna Macy and the work that reconnects, reminding us that together as community, we are willing and must come from gratitude again and again and face and honor the suffering that we have generated and are being turned by in the world. We're not turning away from suffering, not in this Dharma hall, not in any place in this engaged community. And we're also willing to look together with new eyes and then to go forth into the world and serve. So this is a talk very much dedicated to that. Spiral path, the work that reconnects. Thich Nhat Hanh, my root teacher, said, you know, we're so willing to retreat all the time. Let's advance into the work that we really have to do. And let's celebrate 2 times of practice, and this in the early years when we come together. And he said, let's celebrate on November 11th, Armistice Day, by laying down our weapons, slowing down to feel the force of our weapons. More than 30 wars are raging right now in our world. Climate, human, cultural, racial, wars of prejudice, wars of confusion, more than 30 raging now. We need to lay down our arms and find a new standpoint. And then also to honor the dead, to honor the great majority, as So and Roshi like to say, the great majority. Go on, he would say when someone was close to death. Go on, join the great majority. So those 2 hip bones or pillars of practice are extremely important, and believe me, they are honored here at Upaya. I think planting life also comes from the dead always being with us and the earth beginning to speak again from the depths of mystery. And just remember, as early as last November, here in this Dharma Center, beautiful teaching for the Bodhisattva's activism led by Roshi Joan and Dekila Chunglapa and also John Dunn, examining together how will we wage peace in Roshi's words, deconstruct the architecture of war, reconstruct a neural architecture of peacefulness every moment. So this is Dharma that's grounded in deep, long, butt bunion producing sitting and deep activism of getting up, stepping up, and walking into the fire of the world. And we prepare the ground. We prepare the ground by being with dying. You know this. Look at the cycle of what this community offers. First, we be with dying in the spring. And then we'll open that extraordinary Pandora's box of the mind. The Varela International Symposium, meeting together since 1970. One of the first meetings in this country was in the Wheelwright Center, opening the Wheelwright Center at Green Gulch Farm Zen Center. And I remember, because my husband and I snuck into that meeting under the guise of being the ones that wanted to serve coffee to the speakers. And I think my husband overpoured a cup of coffee listening to some of those speeches. So we honor Francisco Varela and the Zen brain, walking and laying down a path in walking. Neuroscientist, philosopher, deep practitioner. And yet we also listen to the original instructions of the more than human world, because the mind is vast and subtle. Original instructions, reciprocal, relational, biological, cultural, carried and conveyed by radiant animals as tiny as fleas and lice, moving to muskrat from whom the world was generated and passing to the great blue whales of the ocean. And we take the time to sit and ponder and to turn the mystery and be mystified by koan study. It's been a huge part of my planting of life. The seed of life has been planted through every winter, opening the new year by studying the great stories of the Buddhist tradition and seeing how much they resonate with our times. A beautiful book, This Fire Runs Through All Things, by Susan Murcott. I commend it to you. Susan Murphy. Susan Murphy. Roshi wrote one of the tributes to the book. And where she reminds us, the author reminds us, that when we pick up the old stories, the family stories, the Dharma stories of where we come from wild and ragged mountain monks who survived the An Lushan rebellion of, get the dates right, 755 to 763, 13 to 31 million people died in China during that rebellion. And the monks of the mountains found their way into the folds, cracks, crevices, canyons of the mountains, and came out whole and fresh. Koan, a story that tells the tale of living embedded in a landscape, is a story that brings the mind to a stop. Shamatha, stop. Stop, stock still. And then offers a way back on an undivided path to some kind of tenuous, temporal presence. And in a time of disintegration and collapse, stories provide a rising immune response to disintegration and collapse. These are precarious times. I need not tell you. We live in precarious times. A monk came to Jiaozhou asking, when times of great difficulty come to visit us, how should we meet them? Jiaozhou turned to the young monk and said, welcome, welcome precarity, welcome confusion, welcome. Precarious, a beautiful word. From the Latin and Old English roots, always, whatever you have to say, poet Charles Olson reminds us, whatever you have to say, leave the roots on. And the dirt, let them dangle. Just make clear where you come from. Maximus Poems. Precarity, precarious, questioning, petitioning, prayerful, uncertainty, positive disintegration, responsibility to be integrated and then to take apart what doesn't meet the needs of our times. And that is a precarious event. We have to both take up the mantle and dismantle. And that means living in precarious times. The blazing fire is expounding the Dharma to all Buddhas of the 3 times, and they are standing on the ground and listening. So I'm asking you tonight, what is your standpoint? Are you standing on the edge of a great turning? Depends intimately, ultimately, and massively on each of us. Where are you standing? And how are you standing? The 4 great postures. Standing still, open, vulnerable, standpoint. And sitting still, collected, grounded, lying down, and then walking right into the fire. And planting life is just that. Finding your standpoint, orienting yourself, and then being willing to lose your orientation, to lose your sense of true north or rising east, to drop all the concepts. Then what will you depend on? I am missing beloved novice monk and priest here in this temple, Cato Troy Fernandez. We were just he's in the back of the room tonight. I'll write for you. You are next to me no matter what. Thank you for having the courage to really meet the physical challenges that you're honest enough to confront. We love you, we support you, and we honor you, Cato, beloved, Cato man. 13th generations of being in this land made of this mountains and rivers without end. And remember last year, Cato's talk, when he said, sometimes you go to plant a field of corn and a lone kernel gets away from you and suddenly the entire field is sown. This is not a metaphor. This is true planting of life. From one kernel, from one discernment, discern to separate the chaff from the grain, to find the kernel of accuracy in the moment. You have to just sometimes, you'll only find one kernel and it'll fall on the ground. Bare ground, raw ground, wild ground, and the whole field is sown. But there's a big responsibility once that happens, just saying. And Troy knows this because his father has been taking care of the family orchard for 60 years. And when he asks his son to come and help him water 400 apple trees, Cato shows up, as every practitioner does. I want you here forever, his father said to him. I want you here forever, watering together stamen improved apples. Stay, man, improve, find your standpoint. Don't wander. All who wander are not lost. Stay here. I want you forever. So now draw your chairs a little closer to the precipice. As F. Scott Fitzgerald used to love to say, draw your chairs close to the precipice. I'll tell you a story. Because the world turns on story. True story comes up from inside of us. So I have a wonderful story of a visit that happened yesterday to cultural treasure, wild woman, sculptress, native teacher, farmer, she who handles clay, Roxanne Swentzell. For years, we've been working with Roxanne. You'll see, she'll be teaching with us this year. And in fact, we're planting her beautiful corn, supai. Supai, let me see. Hopi supai corn, there. Because she's bringing together two strands of corn and culture in her mind and dropping a single kernel on the earth. And we've made the pledge to grow this corn for her, to grow it out for 3 to 5 years so that it can come fresh. And that seed, which will not be promiscuously intertwined with any of the other 4 varieties of corn, at least 4 to 6 varieties, lineages of corn, that this corn will solely and only be pink, dry, and sweet right here at Upaya, and all the seed goes back. It's rematriated to Roxanne. She helps us so much. We've just wanted to go to her place and give her a hand. Just give her a hand. Help her out. So I'm older than she is. Therefore, elders get to push. So I said, Roxanne, we're coming over. Oh, no, you don't have. We're coming over, Roxanne. We're going to help you. Then she called me. Actually, I sent her a text confirming that we were coming. Zzz, my phone went off at the exact same time. Zzz, it was vibrating in bright pink. I thought, uh-oh. The exact same time. She was texting to say, oh, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. We have a site visit from agroecology, forest ecology. People, I'm so sorry you can't come. I thought, she's there. She just texted me. I called her. I said, we're coming, Roxanne. We're Zen students. We'll get up early, and we don't care if you're going to be there. We're going to help you. Roxanne, I'm older than you. We're coming. All right. So we showed up. 9 of us, people who've been practicing here for a year or longer. We showed up with every trowel we had, with muffins from the corn she'd given us, not the pink corn, the blue corn, and some fresh, beautiful drink. And she lives at the edge of Santa Clara Pueblo, in land that can only be tended and cared for by a Pueblo person. She is the founder and leader of the oldest indigenous permaculture program in the country, flowering tree permaculture. An evolution of cultural preservation, she writes, with Pueblo roots. We're planting seeds within ourselves and outside. And they've been at it since 1987. The dry mind is best. Supposedly, Heraclitus said, the dry mind is best. Yes, about not stepping in the same river twice, but also the dry mind is best. Because the dry mind of the Penistaha soils of this region, the soils that are often described as just sit or sit still, to ponder this dry Penistaha soil formation here, dry, bone dry dust. She welcomed us. Every garden is a ground plot for the mind. You come into this land that was her uncle's land. And a few years ago, fortunately, through many wonderful coincidences, the land passed to Roxanne. When you come in, there's a giant sculpture from her uncle of a broken man, a little like Don Quixote, fighting the windmills, tilting, a crooked, broken, huge creature, and out of the ground itself, a gorgeous, recumbent clay woman reaching out from the soil. And so we parked there and introduced ourselves. and turn to her to just ask, what will you have us do? We find our cultural resilience in the medicine of the land, writes Blackfeet elder Leroy Little Bear. We find, listen to this again, the words. We find our cultural resilience in the medicine of the land, resilience from to sally, salience, like a salmon going upstream, sharing the root system, resilience, pushing against the downward flow or the usual stream, pushing against, finding our resilience in the medicine of the land. This is Roxanne's work. And she's a wild farmer. She practices natural building, workshops for youth, particularly Indigenous youth. She's just finished a wonderful Memorial Day of building only with women, with Indigenous women and their children, setting up a place of gathering right near Abiquiu in that wonderful landscape. And she's a proponent and protectress of the traditional practice of Santa Clara men weaving cloth. In the core of her home, she has a large womb, she does have a large womb, and a huge, that nurtures beings in all directions, a large, magnificent loom with the long threads. The men are growing the cotton, the traditional cotton, and remembering how to weave in the nave of Roxanne's home. And Pueblo food experience evolved there. But most important, probably of all, is the seed bank. Now let me drop down another level and get really personal. I've been privileged to visit Roxanne's home with Roshi, and also with my beloved Dharma sister, Indigenous leader, teacher, Melissa Nelson, who teaches at Arizona State University and will be addressing us on Saturday night online, but in fullness. We visited Roxanne, but we've never worked with her there. She's never let us. So this time was different. Close to her home, she has a spiral creation made of clay, a deep spiral vault in which herbs, medicinal herbs of the world are placed. And I thought, oh, these are so beautiful. And she said to me, can you tell me what they are? I thought, oh my God. I said, are they going to be from the New Mexican palette? Please, no, God, no, please, no. No, she said, they're European herbs. I said, all right, let's go in there. Let's look at that. I want this. We went in, and I've seen the spiral before, but Roshi, it's full now in a way I've never seen. There's been some rain. And in particular, at the top of one of the deepest and the strongest spirals, a good 3 feet, maybe 3 feet deep, more, maybe, what do you think? Yeah, 5 feet. Henry knows, because we stood Henry near it, and it was, Henry, you were a little taller than that spiral, I know. But in the spiral was planted my root teacher, Alan Chadwick's favorite herb, Levisticum officinalis. Lovage, little related to, little celebrated, aromatic, ancestral celery, all one needs, said Alan in his inimitable English accent, is a bit of lovage on fresh bread, plastered on butter. Something like that. A bit of fresh bread with smooth butter and levisticum. And he loved this herb, blood cleanser, herb of fragrance and medicine, old medicine. And there it was. Lovage that healthy. I was stunned. And Roxanne in the plant world, it's kinship all the way down, kindom. a kingdom of plant relatives. Here's a startling fact. Some of you who are lucky enough to be scholarly may understand that archaeological evidence shows us that the use of medicinal herbs like levisticum goes back 60,000 years to the Neanderthal times. And 85% of the world's population uses herbs. 40% of pharmaceuticals come from plant medicine, yet fewer than 10% of plant species have ever been invested for their medicinal components. This from Fedco Seeds. I love Fedco Seeds. Fedco Seeds publishes something, I believe it. Fedco Seeds. And I felt that. We had so little understanding of the power of plants, manifest plants. And I was in a watered world. I am a green and juicy, wet-minded person. And Roxanne let us begin in a wet world. So to see the levisticum like that was an extraordinary gift. And Solomon's seal, too. She asked, she said, do you know this plant? I thought, I better not make a mistake here. I thought, Solomon's seal. We didn't know, and then I asked one of the young and adept, and their fingers moved quickly, Solomon's seal. They whispered, I thought, good, that's good. So we stayed in there, and then we split into groups. And I'm gonna embarrass you and ask if Monshin and Sagan will come up here just for a moment and stand near me as we went together. I want to recognize Dharma intimacy and friendship. We are Dharma farmers for 20 years. Before we met here at Upaya, we've been in the traces together, farming and growing food. And I love them and believe in them in every way. They're part of Molino Creek, which is one of our very best dry farms in Santa Cruz, right? How many years? Tomatoes. How many years? Many. Were you there?
1980.
And they met there and fell in love there. Their second marriage, they have lots of children and grandchildren, and they're hardcore Dharma transmitted practitioners. And look at our hands. Roxanne looked at us and our hands and said, why don't you stay and work near the house? So Sagan jumped down, along with some of the younger students, jumped down in and planted beautiful yarrow. Monshin went near the house and began to clean up because Roxanne said, I wish I could clean up around the house more, but we never have time. And we jumped in and did it. I feel the difference, she said, coming in. We pruned back her lilacs. We're animals. We're shameful animals. And we had a really deep experience. But what I really want to tell you is something magical that happened. And can you get closer? Can we stand back here? Maybe we stand back. Because, do you know, you think you're standing on a solid floor, don't you? You think you're standing on a solid floor. Last year, this man was really sick. And he was about to go to the hospital, and there was no floor in this building. It's just raw concrete. And Roshi entrusted Sagan with a big mop dipped in black paint. And the Varela Symposium stood around in a big circle. We all chanted, and he danced a great dragon onto the floor of this hall. Dragons ride the thunder to change the bones of how we live in this world. So there's a dragon underneath your feet. And we covered it over with this beautiful, beautiful wooden floor. And then he got way better, deep and strong and way better.
Pancreatic cancer is really ugly.
Yeah. And this community sang, chanted, prayed in your precarious place back to life and back. We need you. We need you. And it's fine to go, but we need you, right? meet each other. We're not finished. Roxanne knew that, and she rarely takes people into her seed crypt. We went in. We were shaking. It was so emotional to see all that seed, and a good bit of it is from Upaya Zen Center, in your handwriting, treasured on the high shelves. This guy, along with everything else he does, and his partner in crime, this one, had a dream that he whispered to me, I'd like to grow some corn. They live out in El Dorado. I'd like to grow some corn. So I said to Roxanne, Sagan wants to grow some corn. What do you think? She took out, not good corn, but the best corn, the white ceremonial corn of Santa Clara Pueblo, because they live in an isolated area. There's no corn growing in their very dry mind of the garden. And they have a few beds ready, and they're dynamite farmers. So she entrusted him with the 18 rows. This is big time corn, 18 rows. It's this long, and it's bone chalky, pure white. Take this one, she said, and grow it out and bring it back. Beautiful transmission between Sagan and Roxanne, passing warm hand to warm hand. The seed corn, that single kernel, the field will regenerate in the care of these beings. I'm going to let them sit down now. But trust, wait, one more last thing. When Ananda said to the Buddha, is big part of the holy life friendship? No, said the Buddha, no, all of the holy life is friendship. Kalyana Mitra. If you have a Kalyana Mitra, like I'm privileged to have Kalyana Mitra friendship with a few people in this room, and particularly acknowledging Roshi tonight. Kalyana Mitra, for the long haul. Down to the bottom of time. Spiritual friendship. So your friends keep things going in the right way. So just acknowledging that, our Dharma farmer friendship. Yeah. Now, there's a few good minutes. Yeah. It wasn't just the old people working, for God's sake. There were some kick-ass young farmers on that dry field. She said, do you think they can plant this? Then she said to me, do you think they can plant those broken squash? I said, oh yeah, they can do it. Do you think they can I said, they can do it. She said to me, she came in when she said, oh, I feel the difference after the young farmers stand out on the field. She came in and said, oh, I feel the difference here in the front of the house. And she said, I can't keep up with them. I said, that was the point of us coming and watching this generation of dedicated Dharma practitioners plant life and grow community on that dusty, deep, and fertile ground was extraordinary and meaningful to me. At the very end, the turkeys got out. You'll be here forever. I love you forever, Roxanne said to the mother turkey. You just go back into your pen. You'll be here forever. Even when you're gone, you'll be here forever. She's talking to the turkeys, and the Zen students are slowly walking behind many, many, many little turkey chicks. They penned up, and we went and sat down and had watermelon and blue corn muffins and appreciated each other in some really deep and full way that I can't even really talk about, except to say that the work that reconnects all of us each time we plant life. And you don't need a grand big garden. You don't need the bottomless fields of Green Gulch Farm Zen Center, which are so fertile, and I'm proud to say, where we're growing 8 150-foot-long rows of the maca ozette potato, and returning, rematriating every single one of those potatoes to the indigenous community and to the Maca Nation. You don't need that kind of fertile, deep bottomland soil with the boom of the ocean not far away, but you do need grace and grit. You do need that to plant life, to take a single seed and put it in the ground, entrust it to the earth. And so we come from gratitude. We honor our pain for the world. We see with new eyes how mysterious in the Buddhist world that we talk about Avalokiteshvara, regarder of the cries of the world, sound seer, putting together sound and seeing. See with new eyes, and then we go forth in whatever way we can, lifetime after lifetime. So I'd like to close with this beautiful encouragement from GB at Chaco Canyon. It's from Rena Swentzell, who's Roxanne's mother, and is a teacher and guide to GB and the archaeologists in Chaco Canyon. In the beginning of the book, Rena Swentzell, Roxanne's mother, writes, "We are synonymous and born of the earth. We are made of the same stuff as our houses. We built them, we tasted them, we talked with them, we climbed on them and in them, we lived with them, and we watched them die. The entire community is our home. The entire community is our home." The entire community is our home. Medicine and disease subdue each other. The entire community is our home. And we vow, lifetime after lifetime, to find cultural resilience, in the medicine of the land, and to plant life and grow community vigorously, without question, in the midst of precarity, and wholeheartedly. Thank you for your practice and for this evening. Four great vows.
Creation.